Hey y'all, it's me again, Joey.
Well, ready to let them loose?
Yep, that's it. Let's see if they make us run.
Oh,
Probably so.
yeah, that one tried to get after him, but other than that, what can you expect? I mean, can you blame them? Oh yeah, they're getting after us now. Go, Joey, go!
Hey man!
They're mad, buddy. I'm gonna get in the truck. You gotta go back and get your camera.
But also, just get as many as you can off the one next to it. Out.
You gotta move
Do that side again. Y'all ready? Let's get started. Well, hello everybody. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I'll say hello to everybody over in the chat. Glad you're coming in. I've been resting the last couple of days. I say resting. I've been piddling around the house, honeydews and whatnot. Uh, Getting a little honey pulled. Anybody seen any of the videos that I put out lately? Pulling a little bit. Sometimes getting in a little bit of a wreck. But anyway, how you doing, Mr. JW?
Just barely able to move.
Barely able to move. Well, that sounds like me too.
I'm doing
All right.
good. Thanks.
Yeah. How about you, Tom? Where's Melissa at?
I'm over here. I'm here.
Okay.
She's over on
Y'all
the
doing
side
okay?
eavesdropping. She's eating some pizza. We got back in kind of late this afternoon. We
Yeah.
had to work today. Uh-oh, JW's got a fire alarm. Quick,
Yeah.
hit the deck.
Run!
Yeah, run. Put on your gas mask or something. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
that noise is. So we had our club, the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association, had we called it an extractaganza, which is just fancy for saying, hey, you know what, we have just club extraction. So a handful of us will bring
Yeah.
our extractors in and help out people in the club, maybe more newbies or folks who are relatively new into the game that don't have extractors or things of that nature. So it's a give back to the community, and we worked on that all day long. So you get to meet a bunch of fun people and um, you know share experiences and just community outreach basically. So that's what we did today. So for us tomorrow, it's right back to pulling honey, and fingers crossed I'll get 90% of it done. Me, Melissa, and my boys worked pretty hard on let's see, Friday, pulling honey off, and I think we just got short of 100 supers, and I don't know, there's probably equally as many out there. I'm not even sure. I lost count of what was out there, honestly. But
I would die if I had to pull 100 supers.
man, I'll
I
tell you what.
almost fainted just thinking about it.
Oh man, Joey. I mean,
There ain't no way.
I'm not going to be negative here, but I'm telling you, pulling honey supers, it kind of sucks. It's just not my favorite thing to do, if I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
it's fun watching it fill up.
Yeah.
It's fun watching it fill up, but when it comes time to harvest it and extract it, it kind of it's almost like work.
Absolutely, it is.
We pulled 83 yesterday.
I'm sure I could probably be persuaded if somebody said, "I want every one of the supers you have out there with honey in it." I'm like, "You pull them off, and we'll come up with a price or a number. You can buy them all. I'll rebuild them all next year."
Yeah.
you know.
I told my wife, I said, I'm almost at the point where I can just pull me a few buckets of it,
hmm
every what I think I need, and just let somebody else, one of these other beekeepers, just come pull all of them, take them home, spin them out, and I'll even come pick them up, or they can bring them back to me.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. We had one young man was having a birthday party today. He was someone from our club, and was really interested in a frame of honey. And I said, "Well, I have some cut comb frames out there, but I'm like, I'm like, what are you looking for? And I said, do you mind if it's a brand new frame that's been drawn out, that's been capped, something nice, but it has plastic foundation in it, or do you need it cut comb? He said, I don't need a cut comb. He goes, I just want something for my party that I can set up there and people can, put a spoon into or whatever it might be. And I'm like, well, if you're okay with the food grade plastic in the middle of it, I'm like, I'll pick you out something really nice. And he said, yeah, sounds good. So we were able to get that to him, and he seemed pretty excited about that. So honestly, I would do that all day long, sell off frames of honey like that. I mean, just,
Yeah.
It would be an okay thing for me. I wouldn't have a problem with it. So I don't know, but all's good. Hopefully we get all that done.
Yeah.
Most of it tomorrow. I'll finish it up Monday morning early. And then my goal is to have the extraction stuff done by Wednesday, maybe teetering off on a few things on Thursday, maybe. I mean, maybe it's a tall order. It's going to be really hot around here in the Midwest and St. Louis and JW's area. We're going to be, with the humidity up probably around 70, 80%, actually probably better than 70%. And the temperature is going to be hitting that 95, 96 degree. I mean, we're hitting the peak of our temperatures.
Yeah. The other day when I was in the bee yard, every time I would kind of bend over a little bit, sweat would just pour down on my veil, and when I
Couldn't see, but me too.
it would be all over my veil, and I'd have to slap the veil a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's what I went through.
It was rough.
I kept finding myself wiping, because I almost always wear a hat. I mean, unless I'm going to church or a nice occasion or something. I like it. It's convenient for me. It keeps, especially when you work outside. I mean, JW, you'll vouch for this. When you work outside, it's nice having a hat on, whether you have glasses on or not. It just helps keep the sun off your face a little bit, So I just naturally always wear it. And even with the hat on and it all, I mean, it's wet. It's completely soaked, this time of year, much like you guys, JW, yourself, and your areas and climates. It just starts dripping off my face. I mean, I now understand how my dad felt when I was a kid and watching him. I'm like, Dad, how are you sweating so much? It just doesn't stop. It's sweat pours from every pore of your body on your face and all. It gets in your eyes and it's stinging your eyes, and you're using your veil to kind of wipe your face a little bit, and then you can't see out of your veil, and it's a hot mess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll definitely get through this.
If I don't wear a cap under my veil, I'll drown. I will, because I don't have any hair to stop it, and it'll just run down my forehead. So I have to wear a cap under that veil.
I can send you some hair if you want to glue it on the top. I'm going to get my next couple of haircuts, get you squared away. Yeah. I mean, it's a little gray now, but
Somebody was telling me that Cayman was on. We're kind of short a few people here tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was on. That'd be some coming in here pretty quick.
I got something pretty cool here in the mail today.
Let's see. Hang on. Let me find you.
I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, yeah. I'm jealous.
Probably backwards. He's got a really cool design. I don't know if it's coming through or not.
Yeah.
He has a really cool design on it. I thought that the shirt was it's a comfortable shirt too, I'm kind of a geek when it comes to something that's nice and comfortable, and so.
Well, Mr. JW, didn't you say that you pulled some honey today, or you helped somebody else? Or yesterday?
I helped Matt Ramsbottom extract yesterday. I pulled all mine and finished extracting.
Okay.
Wednesday, cleaned up Thursday morning, went out to Matt's and helped him. We pulled 100 gallon for him, 25 gallon buckets for Matt yesterday.
Good deal.
So,
did he check his moisture content, JW?
He did not.
I'm just curious to what it is.
I'm sure in my mind, I told him I had I misunderstood him, I guess. I told him I had a refractometer, and he said he had one. I got out there and he didn't, but I'm sure it's in good shape.
Okay.
Relatively sure anyway, as sure as it can be.
It seemed like most of what we were I'm sorry, I shouldn't say pulling because I haven't checked any of mine. Mine all, what I started went into the garage and I just immediately threw fans on it and dehumidifiers, and I have it down to 40% humidity in there. So, I thought, worst case scenario, it dries out a little bit more. I don't care. I
I
actually,
pulled all of mine straight arrow, Tom, and it was all about 17.5 to 19.5, and I just pulled it.
okay. Some of the extraction we were doing today from folks around the St. Louis area that had supers. Now, granted, this is mostly a lot of newer beekeepers. Not that really matters at all, what I'm getting ready to say, but I was noticing that honey was anywhere between 18.5 to 20.5%. So personally, I like mine. I know everybody has an opinion about it, right? And I don't think there's one right answer based upon what type of crop it is, how much yeast are in it, on fermentation and all that. But I personally like to see mine somewhere around that real high 16s to 17.3, 17.5-ish. That area I'm really comfortable with. I like the consistency of it. It almost has that kind of like that slump, if you will, to it. You can see it stack up when you're pouring it. I don't know. I just don't like it to be real liquidy and runny. For me, the flavor and taste are a little bit muted when it's too watery. I feel like that it's a little bit more like it condenses the sugars a little bit. You get a better flavor out of it.
There it goes again. Didn't put that fire out like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay. We got about 46 people on here. You about ready, Tom?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got. I'm gonna let Tom handle this part, but we have some special guests coming in. I'm gonna let Tom take it from here.
Yeah, so there's a couple guys that I have kind of been getting to know over this last year a little bit, and seem like some really solid guys. And Melissa and I went up north. These guys can correct me whenever they get on here, but I think it was in February. There was a conference, another learning and educational source that seemed to be gaining traction pretty quickly with some great names, great vendors. And honestly, just from the brief chats I've had with these guys, seem to be really, really solid guys, honestly. But they're up there in Wisconsin, just kind of off the, oh gosh, help me out. What's the,
Milwaukee.
yeah, just off from Milwaukee, actually, just west of Milwaukee. They had a great conference.
Between Milwaukee and Madison's where they're from, I think.
Yeah. Be west of Milwaukee, just so kind of on the suburbs, I guess, of it, if you will. So Melissa and I actually got an opportunity to go up there and visit with them and kind of visit with guys and do a little networking stuff. But we had a really good time. I mean, these guys, honestly, they put together first year, put together a really good show, great education. They had some good names there. They had a honey show there. So, I mean, really well thought out. Now, if I only had a complaint, and I'll let these guys tell me about it, is it was a little cold in Wisconsin in February. I mean, I was hoping they could do something about that, but unfortunately, I think it tends to be a little cold up there north, right? But
Yeah.
all in all, Melissa and I really enjoyed ourselves, and I thought these are a couple guys that we could kind of bring in and chat with these guys a little bit, kind of learn a little bit about them, maybe different aspects of what they do or how they do things, and also maybe they can even talk a little bit about their upcoming conference. If people are up in that direction, they're looking for another source of education. I think it'd be a great spot for people to check out. So, Joey, whenever you're ready, bring these guys.
I wish I could hit both of them at the same time. There we go.
Yeah. So this is Bill Werning and Doug Coulterman. They're from Wisconsin. So, guys, great to have you on here this afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So maybe if you guys could, one at a time, maybe give us a little brief bio of you guys and a little bit about what you guys do and then what you're all about, and then just kind of go from there.
Go ahead, Bill.
Sure. So I'm a full-time landscaper and a part-time beekeeper. I've been keeping bees since I was 13. My uncle was a commercial beekeeper, and he ran between Cambria, Wisconsin, and he wintered down in Louisiana in the winters. I can't remember what city he did winter in when he took them down there. So bees have always been part of my life. I was fascinated with them. So I got my first 2 hives when I was 13, and it's basically grown from there. There was a time that I ran around 160 hives. Now we're right around 60, and that's a good number for me at this age and time in my life.
Okay. Doug?
So thanks for having us, guys. We really appreciate you having us on. Again, my name is Doug Coulterman, and I'm actually a 7th-year beekeeper. This is my 7th year, and my story is I retired in 2019 from a business I owned for 25 years. I sold the business and decided to become a hobby farmer. So I went out and I bought some beef cattle, chickens, and I was in Fleet Farm one day and there was a sign on the wall that said honeybees for sale. And I thought, wow, that'd be really cool. Pretty easy to put bees in a box and get honey at the end of the year. And so my first year was a complete, absolute failure. Bees swarmed on me. I had no idea even what a varroa mite was. Of course, the bees died quickly, and I thought, wow, that was a really expensive little experiment. I better, get serious about this if I'm going to stay in this. So that winter, I decided I'd go looking for a club to join, and so I joined the Walworth County Beekeepers Association, and then I looked up some bigger beekeepers in the area and called them up and said, hey, I'm retired and I'd be willing to come out and volunteer my time if you let me work with you and get some experience. And I said, I can do this 5 days a week if you want, basically work full time for you if you show me how to be a beekeeper. So I kind of got the expedited lesson in beekeeping that first year. So now fast forward 7 years, this year I'm running about 100 colonies right now. There's probably about 40 of those are production hives. The remainders are splits I made. I raised some queens along the way, and I sold some nukes this year too. So 100's pretty much maximum where I want to be at. I'm actually probably more comfortable with about 80, what I ran last year. So long story short, I got the expedited route in beekeeping, and now I'm very involved with volunteering my time for the Walworth County Beekeepers. I'm the president of that association. I'm on the board of directors for the Wisconsin Honey Producers. I volunteer as a mentor for the Wisconsin Hero Outdoors program. So we teach veterans how to be beekeepers. And actually, we just extracted their honey this last Wednesday at my house. And then along the way here, I met Bill a few years ago, and I found out what a solid guy he is and Christian guy, what a great beekeeper he is. And Bill and I had a conversation, and we basically both saw the space in the Midwest for a really good opportunity to bring together an educational event for beekeepers on a larger size scale than the typical county or state level organized expo. So we dreamt this up and we said, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it big and get some big name speakers and try to recruit as many vendors selling quality beekeeping products and supplies as we can. So that's kind of my brief intro, Tom. I hope I gave you more information.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's funny about that is, Bill and Doug, you guys have kind of a similar setup as what I have. Like Bill says, I'm a landscaper and then a part-time beekeeper, which is exactly what I do. I've owned a landscaping company now for 25 years and been beekeeping now. This is Melissa, my wife, and I's 8th season of beekeeping. And man, I'll tell you, it's Bill, I don't know what it is about us, but for some reason, I think we're glutton for punishment because when you're a landscaper and you deal directly with plants and you're a beekeeper and bees deal directly with plants, it's like we're just glutton for punishment. These 2 seasons that we have just do this. Head first, it's like you're busy like a firefighter, just constantly at it, just hitting it. And then you get a little bit of a break throughout the wintertime. Yours, I don't know how you handle all that, but for me anyway, we typically go pretty solid through December here in the St. Louis area. And then generally January and February, I get a little bit of a break, when those kind of are for us anyway, and not quite like you guys bitter cold, but, the St. Louis bitter cold, if you will. And then, we bounce right back to it. We do some snow services and things like that. But again, we don't get the same amount of snow that you guys do up north, even in Chicago, places like that. But I don't know. I never would have guessed my wife, Melissa, would have ever talked me into this. But if I'm being really honest now, it's probably one of the best things that come out of it, truthfully, because, Melissa and I along this journey have actually met so many really cool people, some of which are sitting right here and in the comment section too. I mean, I may be biased, but all in all, I mean, I feel like painting a broad picture here. Beekeepers are some of the coolest people, and some of the most solid foundational type people. I don't know, just I mean, you always have your outliers there, but all in all, I mean, we've met some really solid people, and the relationships we've built around this are pretty much, forged. I mean, for the lifetime kind of deal. So, I don't know. That part's been really cool and interesting, but yeah. So it's amazing that we took that on. So last year, Bill, Doug, you guys really, like I said, from my standpoint anyway, I thought you guys actually did a really phenomenal job. And so Melissa and I are both board members for our local club, which is the Eastern Missouri Beekeepers Association. There's 4 clubs in and around St. Louis. Ours is probably arguably the biggest. And I'm a little biased, but it's the best, but our club's been in position for a long time, well before Melissa and I even came on. But we came in, gung ho, wanting to try to create things and make things for the better, create a good sense of community, which was already there. But we had some big shoes to fill, and then also, keep and add to conference type settings and educational sources for the community around, and just give back. But we also got invited. I guess people took a little notice, got invited to speak and actually sit on the board for the Missouri State Beekeepers Association of the state there. And I'll tell you, that's been really fun and really cool too. I'll tell you, I understand where Doug's coming from, where he's got all these different areas that he gives back to. That requires a lot of time. I mean, you can put a lot of time into the give back, which I'm not complaining at all. I'm a guy that does really well staying busy, and I don't sit still well. So having stuff like that in our back pocket is really nice. But again, like I said, it's allowed us to meet many new people. So I get where you guys are coming from with setting up and running a conference setting. Man, it is a lot of work, and you have to have some really good, solid people behind you to help move this thing off the ground. I mean, because let's be honest, guys, there are no guarantees. You can do everything you need to, promotional and everything, and sometimes things just may not come together like you want them. So you really put a lot on the line doing this. Maybe just kind of briefly tell me a little bit about your experience and how you guys built this first year. And I don't know what your thoughts are expansion into this coming next year, and what you guys are looking forward to.
So, like Doug had said, we talked about this, I believe it was the last week of May last year. So we put this together in 3/4 of a year, and it came off almost seamless, I think. And we reached out to a lot of great speakers and professors from different universities, and just got a lot of people on board. And like I said, all the effort paid off. We had a phenomenal expo. Like you said, it was a little cold, and we fixed that this year. Everything is indoors, and you can even
Nice.
come to a hotel that's connected right to the expo center. So that'll help a great deal.
It's amazing. The one thing you pointed out that doesn't seem like a big deal. So the conference that we set up through our club and the rest of the board members, it's not just Melissa and I. This is a group effort, of good, solid people. Last year we had it at a conference center that has completely been redone, that had a hotel attached to it that was also very near some intersecting highways. And I'll tell you, from standpoints of vendors, they want to see easy egress in and out for whether it's a tractor trailer or their enclosed trailer loads, whatever it might be. You need to have maybe good location for food that's somewhere available around the area, or different amenities. And then these guys, and I never really thought about it fully, but they said the fact that we can stay on site at a hotel that's affordable
But come on, he's not eating. Come on.
at the same location that we can go to the conference at, it was a huge deal. It really was. So you're not having to drive back and forth here or there. If say, a husband and wife go to the comps and maybe the wife's not quite into beekeeping like the husband is, or vice versa, one of them could go up to the room if they want to take a nap or lay down or get a little free time or whatever. So, I think by you guys doing that will definitely help to kind of close a couple gaps on that,
And we're a lot closer to an airport this year as well. Last year we were about 20 minutes from Milwaukee. This venue is like 8 minutes from the Madison airport. And like I said, all of the hotels that we've got for blockings are literally, one's connected, the other one's right across the road. So it's going to make things a lot easier to access.
Yeah, that's cool. So what do you guys have up your sleeve for this year? Anything you can tell us about what you guys are thinking or changes that you're going to make, something that can add value to what it is that you already had moving forward?
Yeah, so I just want to go back to what you were talking about, Tom, before it passes my mind about the people behind this to make this happen. It's just not Bill and I. We had a good 12 volunteers, 14 volunteers that worked in the background with very little accolade that really helped us. Without them, we couldn't have done this. It's just a fact of the matter. The support in the background was phenomenal. We had guys just working all day like dogs in the background to make sure every little piece of the puzzle came together. So, kudos to that team. And we hope, most of the people that I've heard from are pretty excited to come back and help once again. But just kudos to that team because it was a total team effort. And then going back again to what you said, Tom, about the beekeeping industry in general, it's like you said, in general, we're generalizing here, but in general, it's one of the greatest groups of people I've ever been around. I've made more friends, connections. I love the industry because people are willing to share information, significantly different from the industry I used to be in. You used to hide your secrets, right? You wouldn't let your competitors know your secrets. You wouldn't give them any information. This is completely different. We're all trying to help each other, right? And the way I look at it is, a high tide, all boats raise. And that's why I love this industry so much. There's just, like you said, a lot of solid people, and everybody's kind of willing to lend a helping hand. So kudos to you for mentioning that. On your question, what you'd asked about this year. So probably the biggest addition we're making this year is we're adding on some workshops. We have a few committed workshop leaders already. Stephanie Slater, who's kind of known for her honey shows. She's a certified honey judge. Stephanie led she was the chairperson of our honey show last year. She is also going to do that again this year, lead our honey show, but she's also going to give a workshop on how to make lip balms. Before you mentioned about bringing the wives along, and in general, there's a lot of ladies in beekeeping. I think it's awesome, but in general, some of the husbands bring their wives that aren't beekeepers to this thing, and there really isn't a lot for them. But a lip balm workshop that may be of interest to them. They can take the wax that their husband's bees generate and make some lip balms, lotions, things like that. So Stephanie's going to give a workshop, and she's a great teacher and educator on lip balm. We've got Andy Hempkin and his son Scott. They're going to do a workshop on mead making, which will be kind of cool. Andy's been a long-term mead maker, and Scott's followed along on that. So we're looking forward to that. James Lee from James Lee Bees and Northern Queen Initiative. He's coming to speak. In addition, we've talked to him about running a workshop. Not exactly sure what that workshop's going to look like, but we're kind of focusing somewhat on his queen rearing. He's done some work with Corey Stevens and raising some great hygienic type queens, virgins, and selling them. So something related to that is what we're thinking, but we're open to suggestions on that too.
Sure.
And those, we're working on some others right now. Bill, do we have any more that I missed that we can share at this point? I think those are the ones that we've locked down for
They were the
certain.
ones that we've locked down. I think Rance Bennett from this old hive, we're trying to think up something for him as well. He's got a lot of crafty ideas and unique things that he has worked on and made. So that's one of the people that we haven't locked down anything specific yet, but we're brainstorming some ideas on some of the different things that he does, and he'll also be speaking on his wintering methods in Wisconsin here.
Mhm.
So on that note, Bill's a very humble guy, and Bill has developed this system over the last, I don't know how many years, Bill, about 10 years or so, maybe longer than that, on overwintering bees. And in Wisconsin, it's termed the Werning Wrap, and it's really caught on well. It's Reflectix, and it's a system where, he folds things over, and it's a condensing style overwintering.
Mhm.
And so Rance's idea is somewhat similar to that. Rance uses a 3P system, but a condensing style also. But Bill's been very innovative and helpful on that front in the past with his style of overwintering for Wisconsin beekeepers. So.
Yeah. There's another gentleman that comes to mind when you're thinking condensing hives and you guys may know this name, is Bill Heschbach. I don't know specifically where he's from, but I heard him a presentation, or actually a few presentations of him. And I'd say what it was pretty interesting information. He really dives down into the nuts and bolts of specifically what he's talking about. And he's not just kind of hitting the high points. He's really kind of diving down in the wormhole, if you will, and specifically talking about that. And I'm sure, for certain people in different climates, it may not be more of a non-issue when it comes to that. But when you put those extra stressors on those bees in the wintertime, and then you add another stressor of that extreme cold nature, much like what you guys experience, that adds another layer of complexity there, So
yeah. Last year at our expo, we brought in Peggy DeSanto was one of our speakers. She's the inventor and owner of the Hive Hugger. So she did a condensing style overwintering presentation, and she kind of dives down deep too into it. She takes it back to how bees live out in the wild in tree cavities, and she's had people analyze R value on trees, top and bottom, and looked at how they live in that. And she's designed her product around that, specifically with an R30 crown on top of that, and then lower R value on the sides. So that was an interesting talk. Peggy does a really nice job.
Yeah. So what do you guys have anything specifically that you're focused on as far as your educational products that you're going to be putting out? Is there any one direction you're focused on, or you're just trying to highlight multiple ways to beekeep, or different value added products or items that go to it? Is there anything specific, or are you just trying to highlight multiple things? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say more multiple things than any kind of theme for the expo.
Okay.
I think we want to keep it somewhat diverse. We've got Nathalie B will be returning this year, and she's with she does the top bar hives with what's the name of her thing, Doug? She's with
Be Mindful.
Be Mindful out of Texas.
Okay.
And like I said, we've got a pretty wide variety of speakers on different topics.
Good. Yeah. And then you guys have locked down those dates already this year, yeah?
February 6th and 7th.
It's
at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin.
Okay. So what's interesting...
It's a Friday and Saturday, Tom, this year. In 2026, it's going to be Friday and Saturday. Last year, we ran it January 25th and 26th, and it was a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah.
And Bill and I are both Christian guys, and we got a lot of comments from people that, hey, Sunday's a day to praise the Lord. And I said, hey, I agree with that. And so Bill and I talked about it kind of in short order, and we said, yeah, let's make it a Friday and Saturday this year.
Sure.
A couple of our vendors actually had they left because of Sunday's a day of worship, and they didn't want to be there on a Sunday. So this year it's a Friday and Saturday, February 6th and 7th.
That's good.
in
Yeah, I
2020.
noticed there was a couple guys that had to leave, and understandable. When it comes down to their faith and the way they like to operate their households and things of that nature. So it's completely understandable. I know that that last day, that Sunday, there were still plenty of people there, a lot to do, but you could definitely tell it thinned down just a little bit. But overall, I mean, again, I think you guys, hats off to you, first year doing this. That's not an easy task. So I mean, I think you guys did a pretty good job. What I'm thinking is maybe for this next coming year, maybe you guys can do something about the cold. Can you guys do anything about that? How does that work?
Well, like
hope
Bill
so.
said, it's going to be all indoors. So once you park your car, you can go in for the weekend and not come out until you have to leave. So
There you go. There you go.
yeah.
That was actually my first time, honestly, going to Wisconsin. I really enjoyed it. I liked the scenery, and I don't know, it'd be cool to go back sometime, during this spring months or late summer months when everything's, and who knows, maybe I should be going up that way right now when it's extremely hot here. It's a little bit lesser, maybe where you guys are at. I don't know. I mean, you're not that much further north of me, but a little bit. So
Yeah, we had a couple days of reprieve here. We were in the 70s the last couple days. There's a lot of discussion going around actually now is like a good time to treat with Formic, with these cooler days. But like you, we've got some real heat coming this coming week. I think Wednesday we're supposed to be in the low 90s with 40-50% humidity. So and then it looks like the long term's going to be hot. So
okay.
yeah, definitely heating up.
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. Well, I'd recommend anybody that would be interested in traveling over the wintertime to definitely check this out. It's worth a visit. If you have interest in education, it's nothing to do. I thought what they had going on there was pretty affordable, especially for, we're looking at the value that they added to it. I don't know. Like I said, Melissa and I enjoyed ourselves, and it was kind of last minute that we even went, to be honest with you. We really didn't have attention, and it just kind of worked out for a couple things when it comes to that. So yeah, great job, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, Joey, was there any questions in there that they might have popped down that these guys might have had?
I haven't seen any. If they were, I missed it. If anybody does have questions.
I thought there was one thing that somebody asked, or Melissa mentioned to me, something about
may have missed it.
asking how you guys might keep bees a little differently in the northern climate rather than, because some of the guys that are on here are more from the south, or kind of the, I'd say lower Midwest, not quite as north as what you guys are. Is there anything precaution wise that you guys might do differently, or like when would you guys say your season starts to really ramp up? When does it shut down? And then what do you guys do differently in preparation for winter? It's kind of a broad.
I feel like our season around here usually starts ramping up middle of May, and typically on a typical year is starting to wind down by the end of July already. The last couple of years, we've had some stronger fall flows, which we normally wouldn't see. So, like right now, I would say we're in the downslide of our honey production season right now. As far as anything different, I mean, I don't think we're all that far apart, like you said. My older brother used to live down down by Festus, Missouri, I believe, somewhere in that area.
Yep.
And,
just a little bit south of us, not much, but a little bit.
And it wasn't, I mean, yeah, a couple degrees difference, but I think the way I winter my bees up here, I would probably do it the same way in Missouri as I do up here, that with a condensing style hive.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, DC, they're in Wisconsin. You guys are just west of Milwaukee, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like the last few winters, the challenges we've had are kind of roller coasters of temperatures. We'll occasionally get down, into negative zero temperatures. But the swings are what I think what are really, it's tough on the bees, right? We'll get some negative temperatures, and then we'll swing up quick and might get into the mid 30s. And you heard a lot of the commercial guys especially guys that are trying to overwinter in, some guys do it like in trailers or enclosed buildings where they try to control temperature with perhaps just cooling. And it can be tough doing that because of the great swings in temperature. So that's something that I think, has become a little more pronounced in the last few years, it seems like. But like Bill said, the bees actually, for me, if it stays cold, um, 20 degrees, 10 degrees all winter long, and they stay in that cluster, and I think they do pretty well, better than if that temperature swings a lot.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that because the gentleman that's right above you two, JW, him and I have talked about that in depth before, and he's been around the block a time or two and been in animal husbandry for a long time, and has actually even kept bees for a significant time too. And that was the one thing that him and I talked about, and he specifically mentioned too. He said, when you have those temperature swings up and down like that, he goes, those bees just can't cluster up in 5 minutes. That's a process that it happens. And it's hard on them. You may be coming out of a cold spell. Like, I'll give you, for example, for us. I mean, most of the Midwest was pretty frigid this last year. I think we can all agree on that. It got downright cold for a minute. Most of our January, when we got back from the North American Honeybee Expo there in Louisville, Kentucky, really the cold and snow set in for us, and it stayed pretty bitter. I mean, even for St. Louis, for the entire month of January, we got a real small window of I say warm up. It'd be warm up compared to the bit frigid cold that lasted maybe, JW, what would you say that was? Maybe 5-7 days. It got a little warm there.
Yeah, we had a warm spell that really played havoc with things, I thought.
Yeah. Well, and that's much to like what you were saying, JW. You said, hey, when you get those temperature swings or those fluctuations, man, that really beats those bees up a little bit. It isn't like, Doug, you said, hey, I'd rather it sit at 10 degrees and just stay consistent, or sit, 15 degrees and just stay consistent until it's ready to come out of it. But I noticed that. So generally here in St. Louis, we can overwinter 5-frame nucleus colonies that are healthy. No issue. I mean, easy peasy. My success was well over 90%. We'd overwinter good, healthy 5-frame nucleus colonies with plenty of food, with very little issue. This last year really kind of actually kind of separated that a little bit. That was my worst loss that I had this last year, was my nucleus colonies. I just didn't build a big enough cluster for that entire month of January. Was downright frigid. We had maybe that 5 or 7 day period where it warmed up a little bit. They probably unclustered a little bit. And then February, we went right back to a cold snap for, I don't remember. How long was that, JW? 3 weeks maybe ish?
Yeah. Well, I've actually forgot, Tom, but I'm going to say it was just about 2.5 to 3 weeks. We had a really cold spell.
Oh yeah, and I don't know about you, but that was a spot that actually any colony that was kind of weakened or maybe unclustered, it didn't have big clusters in them. It kicked them off. I mean, they went downhill after that second cold snap, and that's when I lost a percentage of my 5-frame nucleus colonies. But I'll tell you what was interesting is on production colonies. I only had 10% loss. I mean, we had 110 production colonies that came out, and they were all booming strong. Like when our temperatures actually started to turn back to somewhat normal, what's here in Missouri, we were able to split basically every one of those colonies and make splits and make nukes off of those. So, yeah, Doug, I agree with what you're saying. When those bees have that roller coaster, bad things start to happen. So it's kind of interesting to know that you guys experience much of the same thing as far as climate from where I'm at to where you guys are there. So,
Tom, I saw that some lady had asked about ticket pricing.
Yeah, go ahead.
For the Midwest Honeybee Expo. So right now, our 2-day adult ticket price, we have kind of an early bird special going until October 31st. It's $135 for the 2-day ticket, all inclusive. The workshops we talked about are going to be a nominal fee because we want to pay our workshop instructors. But those will be, very reasonably priced for the hour or two that the workshops will run. We haven't announced those prices yet or decided on them, but the expo itself, $135 right now until October 31st, and thereafter it'll be $150, and then at the door $185. So really for a 2-day expo with the caliber of the speakers that we have and the number of vendors that we're going to have there, I think it's a great value for the money paid. Last year we had so many of our vendors were given just excellent deals on their equipment they were selling that literally you could save that $135 by just the savings that you'll get at the expo for the special offers that these vendors are going to have.
Yeah.
So
You guys actually got some really generous giveaways too. I mean, you guys had, man, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but I want to say like 3, maybe 4 tables that were just full of stuff. I mean, some stuff was really substantial too. I mean, you guys actually, I told my wife, Melissa, and we get a lot of donations too. And I'm like, man, these guys really pulled it off. I'm like, I mean, you guys were just reading off number after number after number and just, so I mean, that was really cool. So if people are interested in the free stuff or the giveaways, it was definitely there.
Definitely.
yeah, the vendors were super generous. Our sponsors were generous. I told many people that without our sponsors, without our vendors, and of course without the attendees, either one of those 3 legs that you have there, either one of those 3 legs goes away, this event can't happen. We need all 3 to participate, and we appreciate every single person that came, every vendor that came, and every sponsor that helped us out. It made it all come together.
Yeah. I completely and wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said right there, Doug. We've been involved in some areas before that the same idea wasn't portrayed across, as far as, like you said, missing one of those legs. And I'm like, when you're trying, and I'm not the guru of expositions or conferences or anything like that. I've kind of learned as I go. You just kind of observe and learn and see things and see what works and see what people like and see what I like, and how you want to add value to that. But also, because let's be honest, it has to be a reasonable number for people to afford. But people also need to understand the side of it where, like, for example, I told a gentleman today, first year beekeeper, I said, I'm telling you, I'm like, you need to come to these club meetings. I'm like, when somebody came to me with the idea of, hey, you should join this club. And I'm like, not interested. My whole idea of these clubs where you get a bunch of, older guys that all lean in on the coffee pot, with these coffee stained teeth, holding their coffee right here and their donut in this hand, and they're arguing about the silliest of things, right? That was my idea in my head. And I'm like, not interested. And, I'll tell you, like, for instance, our club, and maybe every club is not created equal, but when we finally sat down and started doing a little bit of listening in the background and seeing, I'm like, wow, this, some of these clubs really have some things put together and can offer a lot, So, in the nature of offering good education, people sometimes don't think about it as, monetary value, but look at it like this, how much money can I save in beekeeping by having a better understanding of these little bugs in the box? Something that I think we have, this is my opinion, I feel like we have less control over than we really think we do, but we tell ourselves that we have this control over them, So, I mean, just having these educational sources I think I don't know. I try to drive it home as much as I can. Education, education, education. Don't start with the bees. Start with some basic education. Work on that, because if I would have done that even longer than the first year that I spent kind of researching things, I actually may have not purchased certain types of equipment and only went with one or the other. Because, like, for you guys, when you're scaling up to 100 hives or bill at 165, 175 or whatever, you have a large investment of equipment into that. So if you decided one day, hey, I don't want to run this type of equipment, you just can't up and, opt out of it overnight. It just doesn't work that way. So again, go into these educational sources, listening to beekeepers who have been doing it for years and letting them explain the ins and outs of maybe equipment, types of bees, all the whole plethora of education. I think that's kind of where it's at. So I'm with you guys. I'm always, again, pushing the education. Start there, So
Yeah, absolutely, education, and then right behind that, in my opinion, is networking. Networking with these people. Just like I've got to know Bill over the last few years, and I just can't tell you how many people I've met at different conferences I've gone to that are now friends. At the North American Honeybee Expo, I met a gentleman from North Carolina, Greg Rogers, and he and I talk often about different organic treatments, and just networking alone, you meet one person there that you can get to know and find out what their area expertise is, and they can help you with something maybe you don't have expertise in. Um, just that one contact alone can be worth that money right there. But like you said, education, that's the real purpose of this event. And then, in the other hall, giving them the opportunity to shop for things that they want at a great price with the vendors. So
100%. I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, JW right there next to me gives me all kinds of trouble all the time and says I'm always politicking. I'm like, no. I'm like, that's networking. And he's always correcting me. I mean, maybe he's right. He's a lot older than I am. I'm sure he's far more wiser than I am, and he's saying you're politicking. And I'm like, I'm just saying, man, I'm networking here, So I don't know. I got to respect that man. Been around for a long time. He knows what's going on. So do you have anything you'd like to add to that, Mr. Irwin?
Nope.
Oh, I know you'd like to say something. He's my old buddy, man. I like that guy. And Joey, too. He's a fine fella.
Well, you was talking about getting the bees figured out. Just about time you think you've got them figured out, they'll humble you.
Yes, sir. No true words have ever been spoken. You get just a little bit cocky in one area, and God steps in and says, "I have a sense of humor, guys, and I'm going to put you back in place."
Right.
I've told my wife many times, and I've even said this to a couple guys today at the thing. I said, honestly, I think if beekeeping was easy, I would have been bored with it by now, and I've only been doing it for 8 years. Just my personality, I guess. But I said, just when I think I've got something dialed in, like Joey said, I get humbled right there, and that's what it's like God's keeping the carrot right there in front of the horse. You know what I'm saying? He's just keeping me trucking along is what it boils down to, So I don't know. Everybody's got their own ideas and their own ways to do things. And I don't know. The beauty about it is, people come to me and say, oh, well, I know that you do this and that, and you run this many hives. You don't want to hear it from me. And I'm like, no, absolutely not. I'm like, you couldn't be further from the truth. I'm like, I want to understand how you perceive something here, because just because you might have been only keeping bees for 2 years and run half a dozen hives doesn't mean that I can't learn something from you, So I think that we all have something collectively that we could bring to this great fun hobby or sideliner gig or commercial operation, whatever area you're in. We can bring some value to this to help one another out, So, well, do you guys have anything else you guys would like to share specifically about, I don't know, the way you guys personally operate or the conference coming up or anything that you feel like should be highlighted?
I just wanted to mention some of the bigger name speakers that we have coming so far. We've got more to announce that we haven't quite, nailed down the complete deal yet, that we can't announce yet. But we've got David Burns coming from Illinois, a big YouTube guy. Dave does a really nice job explaining things at a very precise level. He's a master EAS beekeeper. Looking forward to have David join us. Dave Peck from Better Bee is going to join us. David's top-notch in his field, I think, well-respected in the industry. Bill mentioned before Natalie B. I think she's going to bring along her partner, Les Crowder, this year. Those two folks are pretty much treatment-free beekeepers in non-traditional, non-Langstroth type hives, the Layens hives, horizontal hives, things like that they use. James Lee, we invited back this year. James was really well received last year. He spoke on our panel with Greg Burns and Stepler last year, and people really enjoyed James, and he said he was available, so we brought him back this year. Christy Winslow from Apis M, James Hillmeyer, commercial beekeeper from Wisconsin, runs a company called LB Works. Zachary Lamas, University of Maryland. Zach's really been doing a lot of work I know he did quite a bit of work with the significant bee loss that we had this past year. John Hill is going to be bringing Hillco as a vendor, but John is also going to be one of our speakers talking
Oh,
about
cool.
how to grow your bee business and really relate that technique to beekeepers if you're aspiring to take your beekeeping or your apiary to the next level. From Apame, we have Corhan. Corhan is the owner of Apame. I'm sorry I don't have his last name, but Corhan, I've seen him speak before. Does a really nice job. Again, talking about that insulated hive setup and how to overwinter specifically in Apame. Recently, we got Isabel, and I'm probably butchering her name. I apologize. Isabel Dryby Wright. She's from the University of Maryland Bee Lab. She worked directly under Marla Spivak, I believe she's still in the graduate program. She is kind of a rising star, from my understanding, in the industry. Does a great job speaking, so we're looking forward to her coming and talking with everybody. And then once again, we're going to have Tim Wilbanks from Heritage Honeybee. Tim is going to be our MC, as well as probably do some speaking himself at the expo. So those are the ones we can announce right now. Go ahead, Bill.
Just a quick correction. Isabel's with the Bee Squad out of Minnesota.
Bee Squad, okay, not University of M. Okay,
I'm pretty sure she's out of
Okay.
Minnesota. And also we'll have Ryan and Sarah Stern from Concord Farms out of Sullivan, Wisconsin here as well, Concord, Sullivan area. And they've ran a commercial operation that goes between California and here. They've ran them in Arkansas, and they've overwintered indoors. So they've got a lot of experience in a lot of different ways.
I would love to be in the bee yard a little while with Les Crowder. I've never met the guy, but I think I've watched every video I could find with him.
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody be able to just pick a frame up, and it's a top bar. He's holding it, looking at it, and he's talking about grafting. And he reaches over and grabs a piece of grass and just twists it off and goes right in there and grafts that larvae out right in the middle of the field.
That's wild.
Wow.
That's talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, Les was supposed to be with us last year, along with Natali, and he had a little bit of some sort of health issue last year. He couldn't make it last minute, so we're looking forward to him joining us this coming year.
Yeah. So one thing that you mentioned, Doug, that I would absolutely love to sit in on is you said John Hill is going to be talking about scaling or growing your operation. Like you said, anybody with a small operation that has aspirations to grow that to any kind of level. If anybody has ever followed John for the last handful of years, I don't know the ins and outs specifically of his business. From looking at it from the outside, John can scale a business pretty well. And I'm not sure it wasn't done on debt like any company that grows that quickly. It has to happen in some form or fashion. But honestly, he does a really good job. I have a lot of respect for him because John has some very, very great customer service. I will vouch for him personally on multiple occasions. Sometimes he catches a little bit of flack for having some equipment that isn't all built here in the USA. And I'm a USA guy, but I also understand that John Hill has a family in the USA here too. So it's a U.S. company that he owns, and he works very, very hard to make sure that he has a good product out there for people. So like you said, the guys in the bee industry and having good vendors, and in my opinion, that's what makes a good vendor. Not only somebody that produces a product that you can use, but somebody who will stand behind it when something goes wrong, that's either premature or something that's out of the ordinary, or to back themselves up. I think that's what really True Grit is all about, is standing behind your product or your work. Bill knows this with landscaping. You want to make sure that you put out a good product. You want to make sure that whether you're doing the beautification part of it or handling something more technical than that, what have you, getting it done is where it's all at. So yeah. I actually would love to sit in on that talk and take plenty of notes myself. So
yeah.
And then also you said, I forget the gal's name. You said that studied under Marla Spivak, or was that the other gal from the?
That was Isabel Darby Wright.
Okay. Yeah, I always kind of wondered, would like to learn a little bit more about that, the propolis. Marla, I mean, spent what, 2 decades researching and teaching about that. I think it's maybe a little bit longer than I thought was a couple decades, but um, yeah, I'd love to listen to more of that. When we were at the North American Honeybee Expo, let's see, I can't remember if it was it. I think that was last year. Time's escaping me right now, but she had a couple of talks that she did, and I sat in on both of them actually just to try to understand it a little bit better. I think that's one of those things that maybe we fall short in the understanding of um, the quality of what that brings to the hive, and all that entails. So, Joey, you got any questions for these guys?
I I don't have anything. If anybody has any questions, put them out there. We'll bring them up.
Yeah. Roy Pro asks, any speakers on marketing to stores? You guys have any of that coming up?
What was the question?
A guy in the comment section says, any speakers on marketing to stores? I think probably, how to market your product to stores, or maybe I'm not sure if he's talking about specifically retailing to them or selling consignment, or maybe both. I'm not sure.
Well, I think you'd probably be able to learn or ask questions when Ryan and Sarah Stern talk, because they actually sell the bulk of the honey that they produce in a lot of different local stores. That's their bread and butter of their business. And I think Sarah would be able to give you, or Ryan would be able to give you, a great in detail run through of how they run their operation and how the ins and outs go with that and how they grew into them positions.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes it's not just about, if you just have one or two hives, maybe that's something that you keep for yourselves, you consume, maybe give to friends or whatever. But if everything works in your favor, and not just being a good beekeeper, but if the hives, start multiplying like they should, and you end up with more and more hives, you end up producing more and more, whether it's honey, it's propolis, it's pollen, whatever you're utilizing out of it, the wax, pretty much everything inside the colony. You need to learn how to, or understand maybe how you might market it, and also to help, either as a hobbyist, maybe you just offset your costs, and maybe make a little small profit on them, or you start to grow a little bit, and at that point in time, maybe you start turning a profit on it, turning it into like a sideline gig. Maybe you can retire from your day job per se, but you're the operation is running itself and earning you a little bit of income. So now, how do you take those products and market them? Whether you go through stores, you go consignment, you do farmers markets, you sell from your home, and then again, adding all those value added items to that. So yeah, it sounds like you guys got that covered too. Joey, did you see any other comments out there in the section as far as people that ask questions?
Not yet.
Yeah. So when you guys had set up your, I know you guys set up your date for your expositions right before we were getting ready to consider within our own club, the EMBA, do it. And then when I realized, because this coming year, it would have 2026 would have fallen right on Valentine's Day. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. We need to either go forward 1 week or go behind 1 week. And then when I follow you guys on Facebook and social media and stuff. And when I seen it, I'm like, first weekend's out, Melissa. I'm like Coulterman and Werning, they have theirs already set up. And I'm like, I feel like we're just, we're far apart, but we're close enough together that people wanted to travel. I'm like,
Sure.
Not trying to create competition there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, let them guys take the first, we'll take the second weekend off, and then we'll do the third weekend down here. So people have a little bit of time too, So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll have to talk to Melissa about seeing what we're going to be doing this year. Hopefully we'll be able to make it up. It was still a little bit early in the game to see what I had going on. Usually it's not as much that time of year, but being as we're planning for our conference too, I didn't know if I'm going to be able to make it up. But fingers crossed that hopefully we'll be able to do that then, and be able to visit with you guys just a little bit then.
DC's
I'm
asking
seeing
if either of y'all have any YouTube videos.
So I don't do any YouTube videos on my bees, but I do a lot of Facebook stuff. I probably scaled that back this past year with expo things, but I've got a group here called Sustainable Wisconsin Beekeeping, and I typically let any beekeeper join it. That's relatively close to Wisconsin. And so sometimes I'll share some of the things that I do with my bees. You can see how I wrap my bees on there. I've got a couple different admins and moderators on that page, Doug being one of them. I tried to choose good, knowledgeable beekeepers with different styles of beekeeping. So there's people that run single story colonies, people that run double deeps, people like me who run triples. So and we got some horizontal hive experts in there and things like that. Just so I got a lot of knowledgeable people with many years experience that can share and help people who want to learn, and they all put out good information and good posts on that page. So if you wanted to see something like that, it's a private group, but I would most likely accept anybody that's not too far away.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't
So to
kick
answer
St. Louis
your question
out, then,
more-
what you're saying, huh?
No, I wouldn't kick them out.
So as of right now, yeah, no YouTube things going on right now. It has crossed my mind that I was thinking of calling Bill someday and saying, "Hey, Bill, why don't I come out to your apiary? You come to mine and just kind of do like a promotional gig with the two of us for the expo, but in the apiary, something like that." I was kind of kicking around the idea in my mind. I haven't passed that by Bill yet, but maybe you could look for that in the future, DCBs. If I can talk Bill into it, it could be
I mean, we
fun.
could probably do something like that. I mean, we do have a Midwest Honeybee Expo YouTube channel that I've used a little bit. I haven't done live streaming like educational. I've used that more for different posts about the expo, like logistics and stuff like that. And then I could share that with other people. So I mean, you could look up the Midwest Honeybee Expo on YouTube and follow that channel. I mean, that's a source that we could use as well, but it's also a source that you can use to see what's going on with the expo aside from the Facebook group Midwest Honeybee Expo and the Facebook page.
Okay.
Have you guys already extracted your honey at this point? Or are you guys still kind of coming off of a flow, or where does that look like for you guys there where you're at?
So I was telling Joey before the show started here, I was on with Joey for a little bit. We had a really strong black locust flow it was in late May or probably early June, right, Bill? It was early June, I think. We had a strong black locust flow. And here's a jar of that. I don't know if I hold it right in front of my face. You guys can see that. It's water white, clear almost. This is actually Bill's. Bill and I swapped black locust. Here's mine. This is my label on it, but you can see how clear the honey is. Just incredible black locust flow. And since then, I've extracted a bit of honey. Just when I've seen it's been 70% capped and I've got a full super, I've grabbed it. But Bill extracted today. He can tell you more about that.
Yeah, we pulled today. I pretty much pull every 2 weeks regardless. If it's above moisture, I dry it down in the honey house. I only have the option to work my bees every other weekend. So once I do my first pull, which was that black locust, I've pulled 3 other times since then, one of those being today. So we had a decent black locust flow, and then I had I don't even know what it would have been between the basswood and that, but it was a little bit darker amber color. And then the basswood flow was a mediocre flow this year for us, and now what I pulled today is what I call my clover flow. That'd be the primary source with all the white and yellow sweet clover and the small white Dutch clovers that are in bloom right now. Actually, I just saw some purple loosestrife starting to come on in the marshes here. I don't know if you guys have that down by you, but that's It's a tall plant that has a very narrow stem on it that the flowerets are on the sides, and that's kind of a noxious weed, but it produces a honey that's almost got a gingery butterscotch flavor to it, and it's almost got a neon green color to it. So some people really like it, and some people really hate it.
That's not one that I'm familiar with, Bill. I'm not going to say that it's not in my area or our area, but I can't say that I typically seen any nectar that's coming in that kind of has that. You said kind of a greenish hue.
It's kind of like if you could think of a light green or the yellow highlighter colors. If you kind of cross them together and then you hold that honey up to a light, it almost has a greenish, fluorescent yellowish tint to it.
Okay. Yeah, interesting. I'll have to look that one up. What do you say it was again?
Purple loosestrife. I'll send you a jar this year if we get a crop off of it.
Yeah. Now, would you say it's a good table grade honey? Like it's got a really good flavor to it?
Some people love it and some people don't.
Yeah.
I like it. Some people think it's got a little bit of a bite after, bitey aftertaste, but like I said, butterscotch gingery, and I think the gingery is what people might not like. That's kind of the best way to describe the flavor.
Okay.
And the plant grows, typically if you see cattails, you will see patches of loosestrife, purple loosestrife in that same area, at least in Wisconsin is how we see it typically. It's kind of a marsh plant.
Yeah. JW, do you recognize the plant that they're talking about? No?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I've been in Wisconsin quite a bit. I know what they're talking about. We don't have any around here.
Okay, yeah. What they were describing is I don't feel like I've seen here, so that's why probably why I don't recognize it.
What's the name of that marsh just north of you? I used to run bird dogs up there by Stevens Point.
Horicon
Marsh is up.
Yeah, Harkin Marsh, yes. They had quite a bit of it up there. I know what you're talking about, but we don't have any in our area, Tom, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I got you. I wonder if that has to do with either soil type or weather condition.
I don't think we're wet enough, to be honest with you. I mean, it's kind of a marsh plant, is it not, fellas?
Yes, it likes wet, loamy soil.
Have to have pretty good large areas of where water kind of accumulates, Tom, I'm going to say.
Okay.
There's east of my place out here, there's a pretty good sized marsh, but I've spent a lot of time in it over the years, and I've never seen anything like what they're talking about in it. It's actually a part of the state park over there where we went to eat lunch that day on the lake. He's not paying attention.
I'm trying to listen to you and respond to somebody on the lake. Oh yeah. I do recall that. Yep.
There's about 160, 180 acre state marsh ground state, that they there, and that's the only big marsh around me even.
Okay. Yeah, even where I'm at or anywhere around me, we don't really have what I would call anything a marsh. It just nothing that's quite low like that. I would say. So, yeah.
I don't think so in your area that I'd be aware of. Anyway.
Yeah, we're actually. I only asked that question, you guys, because I'm actually just getting out ready to extract, and I mean, pretty common that people in and around the St. Louis area will probably do it around. You can use July 4th as a marker. Some people do a little before, a little after. By the time we've hit in that time frame, things have really gone to summertime temperatures. The rains kind of started to subside enough that things in the nectaries and the plants start to kind of draw back. A couple that I can come to mind that probably don't do it quite as quickly. Clovers, those kind of hang on there a little bit when it's warmer. And then probably we get smooth sumac and also, what's the other one, JW? You mentioned that.
Elderberry or
the type of sumac. There's smooth sumac and there's also another variety. Staghorn, that's what I'm thinking of. That's actually been blooming kind of hit and miss and off and on for us anyway, probably over the last 3 weeks. But I think it's a couple different cultivars. I think, and I'm not as good at recognizing as a driving by, but You guys may be more familiar with this. Do you all have any of that sumac up where you're at? I could imagine you probably
Right.
would.
There's
Oh yeah, they've got.
So it's along a lot of our roadsides and highways.
Yeah.
And I believe it's the staghorn variety. I'm not positive on that, but
Okay.
yeah, we do have quite a bit of it here, and it produces some good honey, from my understanding.
Yeah. I think, and again, don't quote me on this. Somebody may be able to correct me here if they feel like I'm wrong. But when I've seen the plant before, I feel like the smooth sumac is a bit of a smaller um, tree form, whereas the staghorn's more of a full-grown large tree. Something that grows, like you said. I see it more often, not in the middle of wooded areas, but along kind of roadside areas. So I don't know if it's if it takes over and kind of grows quickly and kind of invades areas. Kind of like your black locust does along our highway easements and stuff. Once it starts, man, it just really hits hard.
Yep.
So
You mentioned July 4th as a target date to pull. I've always done that, but this year and last year, I knew I couldn't even shoot for that. I didn't even really get a good start at it July 4th.
yeah.
I'm hoping to be done in a couple more weeks.
So you were saying before, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but your honey flow was just kind of all over the place and kind of lagging behind
Yeah.
most of the spring.
Yep.
Now
Night,
you
Lee.
said you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just telling Lee good night.
Are you still seeing anything come into your colonies right now, or are they kind of summer?
Let's see. The about 2 weeks ago, I actually saw a light nectar in one of them. It turned it upside down real fast, looking in one, and it actually dribbled out. I don't know what it's coming from because I didn't think anything was happening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's still coming in or not. And one of the actually, I think in the video I did today, the one that I dropped the box, when I went back, I stuck that box on there just to because there's so many bees, and it had a little bit of drone comb on there. When I went back and put some brood comb that I pulled out of the freezer, the comb that I left in there, they actually had nectar or honey in it then. It was just a little small patch. I don't know where it come from. I don't know if they moved it to there or where it came from. They already had it full.
Yeah.
But man,
We've actually just been having just enough rain and nothing substantial, but it's enough to keep some of that
yeah.
field forage just kind of blooming and keeping it green. So I'm curious to know what you're noticing yourself, JW, in your colonies. But when I was pulling honey, most of the time, by the time that I do it, here we're in the middle part of July, we've kind of gotten to our dearth. The bees get a little bit more defensive about their home and things of that nature. They become a little bit less tolerant, especially when you're going there kind of semi-aggressively. We usually use a fume board. As soon as I fume them down, and I'll do multiple at a time, I flip them up and I take blowers and I start blowing them out of the colonies, and then the guys stack them on the truck and start strapping stuff down. But I really didn't get over the last, when I did it on Friday, we worked all day at it, and I didn't get a lot of aggressive behavior. And the one thing I pay close attention for when we're pulling late here, when nothing's flowing, you can create some robbing frenzies in the yards very easily if you're not careful. And thankfully, I wasn't noticing that. You can see confusion in the yard, and that definitely is a lot different than aggression. And sometimes you can notice when there's that starting a little bit of robbing going on, that will also in turn create a lot of aggression or defensive behavior at the same time too. And I wasn't noticing that. So it was actually kind of delightful for us to be out there pulling and not be the target of the bees, for one. And also probably for me, more importantly, because I'm happy to take my stings if necessary, but I didn't notice anything wanting to rob, which was, again, equally or if not more important when we were doing that. So are you seeing anything yourself, JW, on coming into your colonies, or have you not paid attention over the last, say, less than week probably.
You know, I'm still getting. My bees. I pulled all my supers last Saturday and Sunday, Tom.
Okay.
And my bees were exceptionally calm. My son Mitch helped me, and that guy. All I had on was a veil, you know, and he was pulling them and setting them, and I was blowing them out, you know, and that's where you're going to get stung. But I never got stung in just a veil and shorts one time,
Huh.
you know. So we I actually pulled 30 boxes.
Okay.
That was ready, and I sorted through, you know, stuff that wasn't ready. I just left on the hives, you know. I've still got some excluders
Yeah.
on stuff, but my bees were exceptionally calm this year. But we had a lot. I had 1.6 of rain Thursday, and I had 2.25 inches of rain this morning in 1.5 or in an hour and a half.
Wow. Well, we didn't get that.
Really, really heavy thunderstorms. You know, so but I've got some, I don't know what it is. I've got a pollen bill. You just talk about that kind of fluorescent orange, or maybe just about the color of this shirt, you know, if it shows up, that my bees are bringing 4 or 5 colonies. I treated with AOV Thursday morning before I left to come out to Matt's.
Mm-hmm.
And I had probably 10 colonies was bringing in a real light pollen, and I've still got a real good Dutch clover flow here. I mean, we're getting enough rain that it's revived it, and it's the bees are really working it. But also, I put out all my extracted supers. You know what I do with them? I just set them out lean them up against all my old fence posts and let the bees clean them out.
Mm-hmm.
They're working them big time. I mean, I've created my own artificial robbing frenzies, which I do every year intentionally, because that's the way I clean out my supers. I don't put them back on, any of them. I let the bees clean them out individually. I've got a bunch of fence line posts, and they're 12 foot apart, and I had I think 52 supers that I'd pulled total, and I set them after I got them spun out. I set them all out there, and they're cleaning every one of them. So.
Yeah. Well, it'd be okay with me if those bees stay stimulated just enough. I don't care about additional honey to the point of having to pull and extract again, because when I'm going to be done with this, I'm going to be done with it for the year, if I'm being honest. But you know what? I will take them draw me out some more boxes of comb. That I will gladly accept. So if they can stay stimulated enough to keep those wax glands moving along, and they can draw out an additional box of comb for me, I'll take it. 100%.
Hey, if it's okay with y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and put the chat link in case anybody else wants to come in and ask some questions
Sure.
or anything. If it's all right with y'all.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
JW, answer my question.
I don't speak to women. This is Women Haters Week.
The stuff I put up with.
Keep pushing back a little bit.
You know, you can believe it or not, I sold 18 pounds one day last week. I had 2 different amazing young ladies come to my place with their families, and I sold 18 pounds one day last week out of my wagon out there. So,
Yeah, the minute Melissa
it runs in cycles, but I've had a good summer. We have a good summer on it. These fellas don't know what I talk about. I've got a farm just off the highway out in the rural area, southeastern Illinois, and I do all my honeybee sales on the honor system. My cash register is a 3-pound coffee can, and people just come, and I've got the honey priced and bottled, and I also sell creamed honey, which I can't keep it. I carry the creamed honey off. I sell flavored creamed honey, I can't keep it. They sell it faster than I can get it made.
Huh.
But I do it all on the honor system. I've been ripped off once last year. I had a little minor incident, but other than that, it's been perfect. And I've sold, I shouldn't say this, I guess, but I've sold about 1,200 pounds of honey in a rural area on the honor system out of an old covered wagon, kind of that I fixed up.
Yeah, I think that's, you know what, the best way to sell your honey is where you don't have to deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're selling it that way and you're moving it along, that's the best way to do it. It's not tying up your time. You can utilize your time for something else and let that work itself out for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
as soon as Melissa seen that old cover wagon like that, she told me she wanted one, and I told her to go talk to you. She'd go get it out of your driveway. You guys could work out the details.
Well, I would think out there with all that, that's kind of a backward area out there in Missouri on the other side of the river where you all live anyway. I would think you could surely find an old wooden wheel wagon that you could fix up without too much of a problem, because that's kind of like living in the sticks anyway.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I was down in St. Louis yesterday, as a matter of fact, down in the city. Melissa and I went to go see the Savannah Bananas. Don't know if you all ever seen that, but if nobody has ever seen the Savannah Bananas, check them out on YouTube, and they're interesting. It's really fun. It's really fun to watch them. But baseball crew down there at Busch Stadium. But you know what's funny is when I was traveling those streets down there in St. Louis, I didn't see one covered wagon because I was looking for them, honestly. Just couldn't find any wagons down there.
Maybe he's in the wrong part of town.
I think that's exactly what it was. Wrong
I'm
part
sure
of
they
town.
got him. Surely, if you get out there around Shirley, the Farina Farms, you could find something out into there. That's not that far from you.
Well, since those tornadoes ran through this spring, they shut down the farm area down there, and unless you're back there as a contractor doing work, you don't get in down there. So,
Yeah.
that the tornadoes that ran through Missouri earlier this year, it's kind of semi unheard of until this year. We've had multiple for some odd reason, but that tore up Purina Farms pretty good. And I have a friend that's been down there actually working for months with a crew of guys working on trees and cleaning up buildings and tearing stuff down and getting it all squared away. But anyway.
Well, Bill and Doug, what's your primary I'll say late spring, early summer flow? Is it primarily your legume, your alfalfas and your clovers? I mean, I know there's a lot of that type of stuff in that general area, southern Wisconsin. Where do you get
We have
most?
a pretty strong basswood and catalpa flow.
Okay.
Usually,
You got enough alfalfa trees to actually make a kind of a flow out of it, actually.
yeah, we do. Yep. And when the basswood trees are producing nectar, it's a substantial flow
Mhm.
for us here. Probably one of the biggest ones. And then we've got a lot of clovers. A lot of sweet clovers in the ditches. A lot of Dutch clover in the lawns.
Yeah.
So we do have alfalfa, but most of the farmers cut the alfalfa before it
Yeah.
flowers.
Before it blooms, yes. I understand
Yeah.
that part of it, though.
Yep. So, and then our fall flow, like Bill talked about, purple loosestrife, goldenrod, aster.
See, I have a lot of goldenrod. I'm in a rural farm area. I have a lot of goldenrod and stuff around me. I don't even consider it a nectar source. It'll be a pollen source, but it's usually dries up enough here in from July through August that they just don't there's just not much nectar. And the asters, period. I don't rely on any type of a fall flow in my area, for.
And honestly, like you just said,
I'm some of my younger lighter highs I'm feeding right now. As soon as I pull the honey off, I start feeding.
most years here in Wisconsin, middle of July, things are fizzling out. We've just had a very strange last 3 years where we've actually had fall flows that we're backfilling the brood nest, where I've went into my treatments that I had no choice but to just let them backfill, and I couldn't throw supers back on anymore. It was then I set myself up for not many young bees going into winter. But the last 3 years, we've had some pretty strong late summer and fall flows that we typically don't see. I would actually prefer to trickle feed them a little bit late in the year just to keep a lot of young bees going into winter. But
Yeah, that's my thinking on the subject also. Speaking of treatments, let's discuss that a little bit. What's your favorites, or do you rotate, or how do you
Yeah,
treat
so
them?
kind of starting with the winter season, I treat with oxalic acid vapor when they're broodless. Moving into spring, I'll vaporize them again, usually early April. And now with the new Viroxan product, I really like the features of the extended release oxalic acid. It's approved to be on with supers on. So that's a real added benefit of that one. And it's on for the extended period of time so that it covers brood cycles. So it's become, a new kind of favorite of mine. And then usually in July, if we find a temperature break, I'll treat with Formic Pro. And then typically when supers come off for the year, usually I'm done with honey by August 1st. I'll put some Thymol on them, Apigard. And then once again in October, I'll vaporize, and then in December, vaporize for the complete cycle. So I treat
So in
quite
other
often.
words, you just kind of rotate your treatments when you use primarily Formic, Apigard, and oxalic acid vapor, and you're starting to use some extended release AO then.
Yep.
You're about the same, Bill. You're in that same mode, or you?
I run the exact same products that Doug does.
Yeah.
Pretty much very similar.
Yeah. That's about. I'm a firm believer in mixing it up. You just can't rely on one thing all the time, And I actually last year did one treatment with Apivar, and I still get some. My bees are not resistant to Apivar. I wouldn't be afraid to use it. I don't intend to use it this year because I don't have a plan, but I wouldn't be. I'm not afraid of it in my area. I don't have that many bees around me. I'm sure in my mind that my bees in my area are not Apivar resistant like a lot of folks seem to think that they are. Not getting any results from Apivar, but I still feel confident I can.
That used to be my go-to spring treatment as they were waking up, but this is the first year that I have pulled the plug on that.
Yeah. Did you notice that it wasn't doing the job like if you used it last year?
I feel like it didn't do the job like it used to. It was not a very effective treatment for me last year.
I used it last year. One treatment, and for a spring treatment, I couldn't tell that I didn't get the same results on my test, on my mite test. My same knockdown ratio as what I was getting in previous years. Is the reason I'm saying that. And anyway, that's about all the questions that I have for y'all. I was interested in what your nectar flow primarily, what it was. Do you get any cranberry? Have you got any cranberries close to you? There's any marshes close to y'all? You got to get a little further north. You got to get up around the Harkin Marsh and up in that area.
You got to travel a good hour or better north.
Yeah.
North. Yep.
I know there's a bunch of them. I used to hunt a lot up around Black River Falls and, on northwest up there towards Eau Claire and so forth. There's several of them up through there. So I didn't know
we got Michael Mahar chiming in from 21st B asking if we're getting a good response in the location. And we're getting a real favorable response on the Alliant Energy Center. in particular. A lot of people are really happy it's in one building. And so, yeah, we've got quite a few vendors signed up already, sponsors signed up. So, yeah, we're excited to have 21st Bee back with us. They've produced some really nice products.
Yeah, I was seeing about coming, but when I seen that guy's coming, I'm not sure about that fella. He's got some shifty eyes or something, So, man, I don't know. It's, guys, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make it now because I'm not sure about that Michael fella. I'm just kidding. Everybody in there knows that I'm just joking. He likes to harass me. I like to harass him. That's kind of how we operate, So.
Yeah, you can talk about him. He's clear out there in Virginia where he can't get a hold of you. That's the reason you're playing that tough guy now.
You're saying it's easy for me to run my mouth behind a keyboard, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's how the world works nowadays, right? When he sees me, maybe coming after me, I'm not sure. So, yeah. No, solid
anyway,
guys.
that's
Keyboard warrior.
Yeah, keyboard warrior. Old diarrhea mouth, they call him.
Yeah, watch out for those landscapers, DC. You just don't know about those guys.
You never know when they burying bodies, huh?
Yep. Anybody else have any questions for these two fellas?
Well, looks like you've answered everything, fellas.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys taking the time to come on. I know we kind of, Bill, Doug, we kind of chatted about this, I don't know, maybe even a month ago or better. And I know you guys are pretty tied up and, have family things you have to tend to, business things you have to tend to and stuff. And it's a busy time for us all. But I thought it'd be definitely well warranted for people to understand what it is that you guys are about, and give people another opportunity is what it boils down to. And somebody wants to make some, travel to a different state or somebody that's in anywhere around your area, that's looking for a great educational resource. I think that was worth definitely checking you guys out for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys having us on. Thanks a lot, and hope to meet Joey you sometime and JW. Hope you guys, JW, hope you can make it up.
I'm going to try to get up there this year if things, good Lord,
right.
I'm no kid. I'm almost 50 and I'm getting old, so.
You're almost 50, huh?
Yeah. Almost 50, which direction?
Yeah.
Almost 50 over 50.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not afraid of that cold weather. I'm used to being out in the elements, so I'm going to try to get up to your way. And if y'all let me in the door when I get there, I've got a pretty good reputation for being a troublemaker,
All I can say is I hope that if I hit 81, I'm as cantankerous as this old fella up top, and I've got somewhat of a sense of humor. He's got it figured out there.
He does.
Well, if nobody else has got questions and nobody wants to come in and talk, I guess we just about to the end of our chat, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I guess it'd be a good time to go ahead and end it. Tell everybody over in the chat, appreciate them coming in. I don't have any more questions.
Yeah, well, Doug, it was nice of you guys to come on, kind of chat a little bit with us and help us understand what you guys are about. And, again, appreciate you guys taking the time to come on.
Maybe we'll see. Are you all coming to Nobby, both of you?
I will be there. I'll be at Nobby again. I've attended both years so far. Enjoy it. So I'll be there.
Yeah,
I've
maybe
never been there yet. I'll have to see if I can make it.
Yeah. Well, if you do, good Lord willing, we'll all be there, and maybe we'll get to to meet you in person and
That'd be great, JW.
break a little bread.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate you guys having us on. Really do, and we encourage everybody to join our Facebook group and look us up online at our website, www.midwesthoneybeeexpo.com. We hope to see everyone next February 6th and 7th, 2026, the Alliant Energy Center in Madison.
Sounds good. We appreciate you guys.
Y'all behave
Thank you
and have a
much.
good day and good night to everyone.
All right. Good
Yep.
night, guys.
Y'all
All
stay
right, you
right.
take care.
Y'all stay right where you at. Don't go nowhere yet. We'll see you on the other side of this little video. Good night,
All right.
everybody.